Good morning. I made it back from South Carolina, and the wonderful winter camp meeting truly was a blessing to me. And I just want you to, if you have an opportunity, go somewhere where they're having a camp meeting and enjoy it. Be blessed. Because sometimes those camp meetings are times of great refreshing for the Lord's people. I'm going to start back in chapter 8, sharing the Bible with you in Mark. And it says, "In those days, the multitude being very great, and having nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples unto him, and saith unto them." Let's think about that. 12 men gathered around Jesus. He carried them everywhere he went. 12 men. That would have been, they followed him everywhere he went. I don't mean he carried them, but they were there with him all the time. And so that was a pretty big entourage, just him and his disciples. And it seemed like people followed him. Other people followed him all over the place too. But he said, "I have compassion on the multitude, because they have now been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat." You know, we are so used to having 7-Elevens and grocery stores very close. We're so used to just being able to buy something to eat, or visit someone and them give us something to eat. And I'm sure when they lived in their towns, it wasn't hard for them to get something to eat. But out there where they were following him, there weren't any stores. There wasn't anything for them to be able to buy. And they were just staying with him because he was teaching them and preaching to them and healing, and just exciting things were happening, but there was nothing to eat. And he said, "And if I send them away fasting to their own houses, they will faint by the way, for divers of them came from far." So Jesus was being concerned over them having something to eat. And his disciples answered him, "From whence can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness?" Now, to me, I can't believe they said that. I don't know how far apart it was, but back here in chapter 6, Jesus said, "Give them to eat." And they say unto him, "Shall we go and buy 200 pennyworth of bread and give them to eat?" He saith unto them, "How many loaves have you? Go and see." And when they knew, they say 5 and 2 fishes. And so it goes on down to tell that he fed the 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. So how long ago was that? I don't know. It might have been a year. It might have been a couple of years, because he walked with them for 3 years. But they either didn't remember or were too shy to say, "Do what you did before." Do what you did before, Jesus. I don't know how it felt to walk with him all the time. I don't know if you felt shy about getting him to do stuff for you. I don't know. But they must have, or either felt shy about it or completely forgot it. They had 12 baskets left. I don't know. But now, I just had a thought that's not a very nice thought about men. Us women are more we're different. I think we would say, "Do what you did before." You know, it's like Mary when she said they have no wine. She knew he could do it, and she knew he could fix it, and she was calling on him to fix it. And maybe us women would have called on him to fix it by saying, "Go ahead and do what you did before." But maybe men don't do that. I don't know. I'm not a man. But these were 12 men, and not one of them said, "Do what you did before." Oh my. Well, it's just a question in my mind. Why didn't they say that? But I don't know. And he asked them, "How many loaves have ye?" And they said, 7. And he commanded the people to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves and gave thanks, and brake, and gave to his disciples to set before them, and they did set them before the people. and they had a few small fishes, and he blessed and commanded to set them also before them. So they did eat and were filled, and they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets. And they that had eaten were about 4,000, and he sent them away. You know, I wonder if there's been a miracle like that since. Because Jesus told us in John, he said, the things that I do, you'll do greater things than these. I wonder if that's ever happened since Jesus left us all here to do things for him. Maybe we don't have to have it here, but maybe in other countries they would take 5 loaves and 2 fishes, or 7 loaves and a few fishes, and feed 4,000. So I don't know if it's ever happened, but I'd love to know that. And but Jesus did this again, and it may not have been right after it, a few days. It might have been months. It might have been a couple of years, but Jesus did it again. And straightway he entered into a ship with his disciples, and came into the parts of Dalmanutha. And the Pharisees came forth and began to question with him, seeking of him a sign from heaven, tempting him. And so when he came into the parts of Dalmanutha, there were the Pharisees waiting for him. And they began to question with him, seeking of him a sign from heaven, tempting him. The Pharisees wanted Jesus to foul up in his talk, to be able to be proven not to be what he claimed to be, because he was not the same as them. And sometimes that's the hard part about being a Christian, or there are other Christians that are not the same as us, and we don't understand it because the Word has taught us to be the way we are. And we try not to be like these Pharisees. We try not to be. We try to let them be the servants of God as well as us. And so we have been accused of being like Pharisees because we want people to serve the Lord the same way we do. But if God will help us, we will leave them alone and let him help them as he will. But we can pray. If someone doesn't believe the same way that I do, and I know that parts of it is actually ignoring God's word, I can pray, God, show them that in the word. Help them to realize that in the word. And God will help them because I've seen him do it. So let's just go ahead and believe the Lord and try not to be like the Pharisees, because the Pharisees, Paul was a Pharisee. So it's not like they can't be changed. They can, but you got to have an experience with Jesus. You got to have a real strong experience with Jesus for it to change you, like Paul did. And they came forth and began to question with him, seeking of him a sign from heaven, tempting him. In other words, if you're really from God, let's see a sign. Give us a sign. And he sighed deeply in his spirit and saith, Why doth this generation seek after a sign? Verily I say unto you, there shall no sign be given unto this generation. And he left them, and entering into the ship again, departed to the other side. Sighed deeply, like over and over and over. I've shown you miracles. You've seen people healed. You've heard me tell you things about God that you never knew. I mean, how much more do you want? I just fed 4,000 people or more with 7 loaves and a few fishes. Do you need any more signs? there shall no sign be given unto this generation. They wanted him to maybe hold the sun there like God did for Joshua for a whole day's time. I don't know what all they wanted, but they didn't accept the great things he was doing or the great things he was saying. And he left them, and entering into the ship, again departed to the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, neither had they in the ship with them more than one loaf. And he charged them, saying, Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod. Now leaven, what is leaven? If you make biscuits or you make rolls, something like that, you know that you're going to put some baking powder in there so that the dough will rise up when you're baking it. When you're going to put some yeast in there to cause that dough to rise up so it won't be just flat and hard. So leaven is something that helps dough to rise and makes bread good. So he said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod. So they reasoned among themselves, It is because we have no bread. And when Jesus knew it, he saith unto them, Why reason ye because ye have no bread? Perceive ye not yet, neither understand? Have ye your heart yet hardened? Having eyes, see ye not? Having ears, hear ye not? And do ye not remember? Jesus was getting, to me it sounds like he was getting just a little bit peeved at his disciples. Little bit wondering, what in the world, where has your mind been? Why can't you think? I think from this, what he said right here, that he was astounded that they didn't remember him feeding the 5,000 when it came time to feed the 4,000. And now he says, having eyes, see ye not? Having ears, hear ye not? And do ye not remember? That's exactly what I asked back there. Didn't they remember? So, now we know what Jesus thought about things. When I break the 5 loaves among 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? They say unto him, 12. They remembered. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? And they said, 7. And he said unto them, How is it that ye do not understand? His disciples spread the gospel all over the world. His disciples were great men. But something about them was a little dense to me. I mean, I don't know how it would be for me to walk with him like that. How smart I would have been. I might have been dumbfounded just being with him and not understanding how to think straight. I don't know. But he said, Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod. What was he speaking of? He was speaking of them being their teachers, causing them to understand things their way. And their way was not right. It rising up with their understanding, with their teachings. The Pharisees, their understanding and teachings they were not right, and the leaven of Herod, meaning the king and all of his everything that the way he looked at things, it was not right. And Jesus wanted them to beware of that. Don't go after the way of the Pharisees, and that is to try to keep every little point of the law. Don't do it. And not only every little point of the law, but every little point of their traditions, which we already learned actually caused them not to listen to what God said. So in the leaven of Herod, he said, beware of it. So when he asked them, how is it that ye do not understand? Please, Lord, help us to understand. Help all of us, the men and the women, the boys and the girls, all of us to understand what you need us to be able to be effectual in this world as your followers. So, Lord, I thank you for hearing and answering my prayer. And I think we'll stop right there and we'll come back tomorrow. Lord willing, I believe we will, unless he comes. Did you know Jesus could come today? Oh, what a thing to think about, where it's all over and we're able to be with him for the rest, for always being able to be with him. And how I would love that. So if I don't see you on Granny Shares the Bible, I'll see you with him. Hallelujah. He'll have a whole lot more than 12 following him everywhere, won't he? I'll be one of them. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.